This is a Kelly Kettle and we're going to use it to boil some water so we can have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. So the Kelly Kettle comes in two parts. We've got the upper part, which is the kettle itself, and the lower part, which is the base in which you light the fire. So the idea behind the Kelly Kettle is that you can make hot water in any kind of weather. You don't need particularly large wood, you can just use small twigs that you can find. And as you'll see, it's hollow in the middle, and what happens is the water is on the outside of the kettle, and because of that it transfers the heat much faster to the water, and it only takes a couple of minutes to actually boil your water. So the water actually goes into the top here. So the first thing to do is just prepare your kettle and make sure there's water in it. You never want to boil it without water in it, because that can damage the kettle. Okay, so I'm just going to pour some water into the Kelly Kettle, into the spout at the front, and you can see the water level when it, from the inside you can actually see the water level when it comes up to about here. So what you want to do is watch when the water reaches up to this point when you're pouring it in. I am just going to take a few little twigs to build a little platform. So we've got the tiniest little twigs, which are about as thick as a matchstick, and then I've organised them a bit larger. For a Kelly Kettle you don't need anything bigger than this, which is about finger thickness, and that's probably the largest, which is just some pallet wood that we've chopped up. Now what I'll do is I'll just take some of the larger sticks to just give the fire a little bit of a dry base, and you want to make sure your wood's dry and cracks, which it does. So I'm going to put a few of those in the base. Okay, so you want to get your Kelly Kettle fire started as quickly as possible, and you want to make sure all your kindling's ready. So what I'm going to do is use some Vaseline, which is good to use because it's made of petroleum jelly, so it's flammable, and some dry cotton wool. You can also use natural fibres like thistle seeds. So the first thing to do is coat some cotton wool in Vaseline, and the Vaseline helps the cotton wool burn longer, but it doesn't ignite very well, so we're going to have to use some other cotton wool without Vaseline for ignition. So what you want to do is get your Kelly Kettle on as quickly as possible to keep the flame warm and it doesn't go out in the wind. Make sure it's nice and stable. Always make sure when you're boiling the Kelly Kettle that you don't put the cork into the water spout because it will explode out, so you want to drape that over the side. And when the kettle's boiling, when you have to take it back off, always hold the side handles like this and lift it up and off. Don't use the handle like this because the flames come out at the top and you'll burn your knuckles by holding it like that, so you want to hold it side to side. If for whatever reason you can't grab the sides, you can take your fireproof gloves, put them on, and with that, only with these can you safely hold the side and lift it off. Now the fire is taking off, so the next thing to do is tip your twigs into the fire, which you do through putting them in through the top, through the chimney. Now when you're putting your twigs in the top, it's really important that you don't drop them in like that, because as I said, the flames come up and you could burn your fingers. So you balance it over the edge like this and you just tip it in like that. So at the bottom of the fire bowl, you've got an air vent which allows air to travel into the fire. On a windy day you can turn that into the direction of the wind, and the wind can directly blow into it. And when you notice your fire is getting a little bit smoky and it might be dying, you can fan the air into that hole. So when the water starts boiling and start coming out the front, it's important that you're not standing in front of the spout because the hot water can scald people. So now you should be ready to take the water off and to make your tea. So you take your two handles from the side and you lift it off, clean off the fire, and you move it away to one side and stay. And once it's burned out, that's when you'll pour some water on it to make sure it's totally out. Okay, so now we're ready to pour the boiling water into our cups, and you can use the spout, which I'll remove here, the chain on which the spout is attached, as a lever that will lever the kettle so that you can pour the water. So you just hold it firmly in the wooden handle and pull the chain up to pour. And now that we've poured all the water out, the next thing to do is place your stopper firmly onto the empty kettle so that no dirt gets inside it, and that's the way to store it. So I'll just pour some water on that to make sure it's out. So I've just dug a little bit of a hole here to put the ashes into, so I'm just clearing some of that soil and leaf litter away. And I'll take my ashes. If the metal base is still hot, you can use the branch to kind of help you hold the tray. I'm just going to pour that into the hole, all the burnt ashes, and scrape it all out. And then cover that up with the leaf litter and the soil that I've just dug out. So I've just covered it all with the leaves and everything, so you can't see the ashes anymore. It won't disturb any wildlife or anything that's in the area. So this is part of the Leave No Trace. Again, we've made sure that when we leave the site, everything is the way we found it, and we've tried to disturb it as little as possible.